Welcome back from New York City and MLG's live coverage of WCS America Round of 16. Day 1, we saw Snoot and Alicia advance over Nesty and Sen into the Round of 8. Today's group features Korea's TheSTC, Apocalypse, and Crank, as well as Australia's Moonglade. Only 2 can move on. Day 2 of WCS America Round of 16 begins right now.
Make it through into that third phase. Needs to get a key SAV kill. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Oh my god, great split there.
But the reinforcements have arrived for Paul. I'm not sure if this is a fight Nidra really wants today.
The master hero coming forward with all the clock, and the storm going down onto his opponent.
But there's just so many immortals. The ultras are being melted.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Day 2 of the WCS America Round of 16. Day 1 was so exciting. Yesterday, of course, Alicia and Snoot moving on over Nesty and Sen. Again, if you missed those matches, youtube.com/officialmlgse2. But this is Day 2. Super excited to bring you the action today. I'm axeltoss, joined by axslav. We're also going to have Total Biscuit helping us out a little bit today, adding a little bit of flavor to the broadcast. Nick, how you doing?
Doing excellently, of course. Yesterday, it was so nice to see Snoot pull those amazing comebacks. I think a lot of people wouldn't have picked him to make it through the group, but he did. And today, are we going to see another, maybe upset player make it through a group with a lot of other strong contenders?
That's a great question. A lot of people looking at this group might say that that guy is Moonglade. Again, the only non-Korean in this group, again, featuring Crank, the STC, and Apocalypse. A lot of kind of unique play styles among each and every one of these players, so who knows what exactly is going to be brought to the table. Of course, the first match of the night. Oh, actually, I guess we should discuss the format a little bit. Here's how it works. It's essentially a double elimination based on group play. So we're gonna have one match, and then the winner of that match will advance to the winners match. Then we're gonna have a match between the second group of 2 players. The winner of that will advance to the winners match, and then the winner of the winners match will go on to the round of 8. Again, same exact format that has been used in WCS Korea, WCS Europe, and of course, Day 1 of WCS America yesterday.
That's right. Of course, today's group has a lot of great players. We've got, like you talked about him earlier, the STC versus Apocalypse with the first match, followed by Crank versus Moonglade.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're gonna. This group has the most diversity, I guess we can call it. I think it's the only group with all 3 races involved. So, we could easily see every single matchup, of course, excluding PvP and ZVZ. That's mathematically impossible. But Apocalypse and the STC, they're about to get ready with their match again. It's gonna be match 1 of the night, and Total Biscuit is down on the floor with them for an interview.
Thank you very much, guys. And I am, of course, here with the STC from Complexity and Quantix Apocalypse. We're going to talk a little bit about the match as everything gets ready to rock and roll here on WCS NA. So, the STC, you recently joined Complexity. How do you feel about your new team right now?
네, 최현식 선수 안녕하세요. 최근에 컴플렉스 팀을 입단을 하셨는데 지금 새로운 팀에 대해서 어떻게 생각하세요, 본인은?
팀원들이 굉장히 연습할 때나 이제 다른 대회가 있으면 친절하게 상대방 분석도 해주고 되게 가족처럼 대해줘서 굉장히 마음에 듭니다.
I feel like I'm in a family. They help whenever I prepare for the tournaments. They help analyzing. They care about me a lot, so I feel like I'm in the family right now.
Excellent, good to hear. So, Apocalypse. It's an interesting story with you as well because you have recently joined the recently resurrected Quantic as part of a brand new lineup alongside other strong Korean players such as Hyun. How are you feeling about your position in Quantic right now?
지금 현재 퀀틱 팀에 들어갔는데 이제 강한 라인업이 있잖아요. 민영 선수 팀에 고석현 선수라든지 좋은 선수들이 많은데 지금 현재 팀에 속해 있는 본인의 심정은 어떠세요?
같이 팀에 소속되면서 좀 더 이제 친밀도도 형성할 수 있고 거짓 없이 솔직하게 서로 이제 대화도 이제 나눌 정도로 이제 가족 같은 관계입니다.
Being in the team with Hyun and etc. other Koreans, I became more friendly with those players, and I feel like also I'm in the family. We can talk a lot of things with each other, so I feel really great.
Excellent, good to hear. So, going into this group, I'd like to hear your thoughts. You're in a group with all 3 racers. You start off with a TBT, but anything can happen after that. Has that affected your confidence going into this group? How do you feel about it?
지금 이 조에는 모든 종족전을 다 해야 될 수도 있어요. 지금 태태전을 시작으로 해서 토스전도 있을 수도 있고 저그전도 할 수도 있고 그런 부분에 있어서 본인은 어떻게 생각하세요?
열심히 한 만큼 결과가 나올 거라고 믿고 최선을 다하겠습니다.
I prepared a lot, and as I prepared a lot, I'm pretty sure that I will do my best on it to qualify for the round of 8.
Excellent. Nice bit of confidence there from Apocalypse. So we will go back to the STC to hear his thoughts on the group. Then we will, of course, hear a little bit about their opponents. So the same question goes to you, the STC. How do you feel about this group?
이 조에 대해서 최윤식 선수 어떻게 돼요? 태태전도 있고 토스전도 있고 저그전도 할 수 있는데.
사실 큰 종족전보다는 크랭크 선수나 아포칼립스 선수처럼 친한 선수들이 많아서 제 스타일을 잘 아니까 그게 좀 걱정돼요.
The only thing that I'm worried about is not the race. It's just the Crank and Apocalypse that I'm friendly with. We've been practicing each other a lot, so they know my style a lot. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about.
Okay, interesting. Now, I would like to know your thoughts on Apocalypse. You mentioned, of course, that he's a good friend of yours. That means that you've played a lot together. I'd like to know what kind of record do you have against Apocalypse and how confident you feel going into this match.
윤영 선수랑 이제 그 전부터 이제 좀 친해 왔는데 둘이서 이제 연습도 같이 했을 테고 친하다고 했었으니까 근데 서로 이렇게 대전 기록이 보통 어느 정도 돼요? 윤영 선수 상대로 최현식 선수가
최근에는 못 해봤지만 작년에 많이 했을 때는 정말 반반 딱 나왔어요. 그 정도 레더에서도 많이 하고 연습 실제 커스텀 게임에서도 딱 반반 진짜. 네.
Recently I haven't played with Apocalypse, but last year when I was practicing a lot in the custom games, also in a ladder, it was exactly half and half.
Very, very even match, so that should be absolutely fantastic to see. And the last question, of course, goes to Apocalypse. I would, of course, like to know your thoughts playing against STC, a friend of yours, some would say a rival. How do you feel going into this match?
친한 최현식 선수 말대로 친한 선수랑 같이 경기를 해야 되는데 본인 생각은 어떠세요?
마음은 좀 아프지만 그래도 경기이기 때문에 지던 이기던 웃으면서 퇴장할 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
I know it hurts since I have to play with my friend, but even though it's not about winning and losing, I'll try my best and I'll walk away with my smile on my face.
Excellent. Okay, guys, please shake hands. All right. Good luck, have fun. And ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see a TBT before you right now. 2 Korean Titans, Apocalypse, and of course, the one and only STC. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you so much, Total Biscuit. Great interviewing. Shout out to Juani playing a little bit of musical chairs there in between the 2 players. Apocalypse, great answer. Actually, great answers from both of those players. Really intrigued to see what's going to happen in this epic TBT best of 3. Let's talk about the players a little bit more in depth, though. Starting with Apocalypse. Great answer he gave to that last question, saying he's going to walk away with a smile on his face no matter what. He's an awesome guy. He actually knows a good amount of English. Former member of Team Incredible Miracle. He was on Quantic before they became Zombie Quantic, before they had the, of course, they disbanded, then they came back together with It's Gosu and Fornot. I'm trying to come up with a way to describe his style, but it's not really that possible. This guy will throw anything at you.
You describe it as you take all the ordinary builds and styles, and you subtract those from all the possible builds and styles, and the ones that are left, that's Apocalypse. And it pretty much sums him up exactly. A very creative and unique player. And I think he really plays the TVT because TVT, you can kind of do these little weird builds a little bit easier. Like a single unit can do a lot more against a Terran opponent than I can in some other matchups. Cloak Banshee running around or Widow Mind Drop, etc. But he's going to be up against STC.
Yes.
Who's a very, very, very skilled player as well, of course. STC, very, very, very good. has won a lot more tournaments, or placed highly, I
Yeah.
should say, in a lot more tournaments than Apocalypse. So he's had more success at the international level so far.
Yeah, I mean, he has a decent amount of experience in foreigner events. He used to be on Quantic, interestingly enough. In fact, STC and Apocalypse were on Quantic at the same time together. So should be interesting to see what kind of mind games come forward between both of these two players. But we definitely are set up for an awesome matchup. Again, the winner of this best of 3 will advance to the winner's match. I've asked the players if they're ready. And if nobody minds, I'm going to hit that start game button as we begin day 2 of WCS America Round of 16, a TBT between Apocalypse and the STC.
This should be an absolutely amazing showdown between these two great players. The first map is going to be on Belshir Vestige, and this is a great map for TVT. All the little ramps and stuff are so fun to play the positional game on. The Zelnaga towers are insanely important on this map because if you can control them, you really gain so much vision around the map. And you're talking about tank range and setting up positions to defend against your opponent moving around the map. Zelnaga towers are so important, even more so in TVT than I think than in any other matchup.
I feel like Belshir Vestige is slowly starting to become one of those like Cloud Kingdom or Daybreak of Heart of the Storm where, most players are, starting to become very comfortable on this map. It's a ladder map. It's used in most of the tournaments. These players are going to be practicing a lot on this map, so that's why it's not too surprising at all to see this map actually being played in pretty much all the matches we're seeing, and it is a very nice map indeed. In my personal opinion, lots of awesome games have been produced. But here we are in game number 1 of this best of 3 as I introduce the players. In the top left-hand location, we have your blue Terran player, hailing from Korea and representing Team Quantic Gaming. He is Apocalypse. Known for his very crazy play style. You never know what you're going to get. It's like you throw a bunch of cookies in the jar that are different flavors and you're trying to pick a chocolate chip, but it's not that easy because there's so many different varieties. Of course, his opponent in the bottom right-hand location used to be in Quantic, but is now represented by Team Complexity. Also hailing from Korea, he is the STC. A name that a lot of people should be familiar with. There's plenty of experience in foreigner events. One of those first Korean players to really make the jump from the Korean scene to the non-Korean scene, joining, one of the foreigner teams. So should be interesting. Similar storylines behind both of these guys as far as that's concerned. And again, they know each other very well, know each other's play styles fairly well as well. So, as far as, what are they going to come into this game with? We don't necessarily know because, again, who knows how much they practice with each other. There's almost like an added element of meta as far as, playing a little bit differently than you normally would, so you aren't predictable to your opponent, if that makes sense.
Well, we can already see Apocalypse doing a little bit of an offbeat build, getting his second barracks out so he can produce a lot of Reapers early on, or perhaps he'll make some Marines. More likely going to be heavy Reaper opening. And the STC delayed his first gas quite a bit. He actually, he didn't get his first gas at about 150, 200 minerals, and it was clearly intentional. He wanted to favor the mineral income over the gas income because he wants to expand quickly.
And we're seeing a second Rax on the field from Apocalypse. I'm honestly not that surprised by this. Again, he's one of those guys who will normally do that. We see the first Reaper getting across the field here. Now, TVT Reapers can be very good indeed. Actually, in every matchup, Reapers can be good, but it's important you keep them alive because as they scale up, they start getting much, much better. Now, Belshir Vestige is a map where there's really only a couple entrances into that main base. You can't jump in from the top side of your main base because it's just too high of a ledge. The Reaper's going to look at you and say, I can't jump that high, man. You have to bring them through the natural, and that's a little bit easier for the defenders to be able to predict where exactly they're coming from. We see a Reaper coming out to the natural of Apocalypse, getting rid of that SCV that was being annoying. So Apocalypse going for a very fast command center on the low ground and revealing that fact to his opponent. Whereas the SEC, I'm not sure if Apocalypse has necessarily actually he did scout the command center. So both these players know exactly what's going on.
You know what's interesting is Apocalypse rushed out that second barracks, but until just now he actually never used both the barracks at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like he got it early, maybe hoping that it would be scouted. I mean, the Reapers aren't any faster. You could have 3 Reapers at this point off a single barracks as well. So a little bit of an interesting opening there. Could lead to maybe a lot of Marines later in the game. But anyways, here's the 3 Reapers coming into rest. The Marines are split up. Could they segment off? Okay, now the Marines
I think that was kind of okay. I mean, it was kind of spreading them out so we can have that concave once the Reapers are kind of poking up that ramp a little bit to see what's going on. Again, they don't have inherent high ground vision like they used to in the beta. So Apocalypse does have to be a little bit careful not to lose these guys, but he does essentially have map control. He's preventing STC from moving down to the low ground with his expansion, whereas Apocalypse back home, again, he built his first command center on the low ground, so a slight advantage there perhaps.
There's Hellions out. No.
Oh, no.
Hellions, of course, are faster than Reapers. Reapers cannot retreat from the Hellions, but a little bit of a miss micro by STC, sending that almost dead Hellion back into fray.
Overall, I think that was a successful engagement there for the STC, able to take out 2 Reapers. Didn't lose too much of his own. It's 200 to 150, and the resources lost in favor of the STC, and now he's able to pull that orbital command that he's already made, move that to the natural expansion, and get his economy up and running. But SCVs are pretty much identical at this point in time. We're seeing Apocalypse go into some Widowmine production, also adding on a Viking. Meanwhile, STC has a medevac on the way and 2 Hellions, so we might see some sort of Marine Hellion drop in his opponent's main base attempted.
It's kind of interesting. This is like almost a retro TVT build. Modern TVT, you see so many Hellbats and Widowmines, but this Marine Hellion elevator attack is something that we saw a lot of in Wings of Liberty. It's kind of nice to see it back in action here again. Apocalypse is going to have the Viking that's very, very helpful in defending. If you can take out that medevac.
There's a Widowmine right next to that barrier.
He's actually has a really good defense setup. Oh, first Widowmine. Oh, the medevac could go down.
Oh my god, the Viking takes it out. That went perfectly for Apocalypse, but the STC is not done. Sending Hellions straight to the natural expansion. Not too many SCVs there going to be pulled right away, and Apocalypse going to be retreating out, and now he can kind of zone those Hellions back there.
Do you see how he built the engineering base to block the Hellions from retreating on the right side?
Wow.
A brilliant move, and those Hellions are all going to fall. I mean, they're trying to kill what they can before they go down.
Okay, I'm trying to describe how that went for the STC.
So, it was like when you want to fight a bear.
Yes, okay, I like this. I like where you're going with this. Go on.
And you think you have a sword.
Okay.
And then you come up and you realize the sword is wooden.
Yes.
And you whack the bear with it and your sword breaks and you're like, oh no. And then you just lose, you just die, right? And that's exactly what happened. He came there, he had all these tools. He had a medevac full of Marines, he had a bunch of Hellions. He went in there and it all just didn't do anything, it just broke.
Wow. That's going to Apocalypse is going to be very happy now. He has to make sure to take advantage of that little folly from the STC, sending a medevac straight across the map. 2 Widowmines and a Marine inside. There is a siege tank at the natural expansion.
Oh, but if the Widowmines get burrowed, those are very annoying to deal with. The scan goes down. Actually, scan's going to reveal both Widowmines.
With 1 Widowmine falling, the second Widowmine is going to get picked up. Neither Widowmine able to get a shot off. So STC, nice little defense there. Both these guys trying to go for these harassment methods, but not necessarily able to make it work. This shows just the level of play from both of these 2 guys as far as being able to identify what's coming, what's possible from my opponent, and then, of course, being able to shut it down properly.
We can see here is, the early attack by STC totally failed. But you're like, wait a minute, but the worker counts are even, the army sizes and counts are about even too. Where is the Apocalypse's advantage from that great defense? Well, it's in the cloak research. That's what he's done. He's taken all the units that STC used for early attack and they died to nothing. And his amount of money that's equivalent to that has been put into going for this Cloak Banshee. So if the Cloak Banshees aren't really able to get anything done, it's going to be a very even game. But if they get some damage done, that's going to put Apocalypse in the lead.
Of course, every scan that you have to use is 1 less mule, so that's something we're definitely going to keep an eye on. Cloak Banshee going straight into the main base of STC here from Apocalypse, taking some shot at some Marines and also at an SCV. We've got a Viking fight up there as well. The Marines coming forward here for STC, thinking about hitting that scan button, but again, you have to be so careful with using that. Because if you miss this, if you scan, but the Cloak Banshee just runs away, then it's a completely wasted scan. So STC being very patient, but this Cloak Banshee able to get a decent amount of damage done here. Going to try to retreat away from that scan, and he is going to be able to get out of there. But there is a turret very close to that Banshee.
This Banshee just keeps killing stuff.
It does. That Banshee does not have a wooden sword.
No, he does not. He's nothing but steel there, getting 13 kills plus some damage. Oh, now another Banshee's coming in.
Oh.
This one going to be taken out much easier.
So, that started off a little bit tricky for the STC, but able to eventually pull things together. It took down that second Banshee with relative ease.
Still a great game for Apocalypse so far.
Absolutely. He's up 102 to 80 in supply. Now sending that 3rd command center over to that location. Again, we're seeing an interesting trend here from Apocalypse, continuing to do all these harassment-based methods, harassment styles, but also continuing to proceed with the economy, continuing to stay on top of what he's doing back home, and sending that 3rd command center down there very fast. Also, the STC staying on top of it, getting his 3rd command center down as well, but Apocalypse running across the map here, across the left-hand side, he's definitely going to try to apply some pressure to that third base. STC needs to be able to identify this and get into a proper position where it's not going to be too much trouble.
Now that sucks for that Marine. they're drawing straws.
He's like, Command Center, why aren't you leaving? Why aren't you landing?
Oh no, but there's no stim for the STC. Stim for Apocalypse. The orbital is under fire.
Oh, tanks are not in range of the Marines. The orbital goes down. Great pickoff there from Apocalypse, and that all starts with that Widow Mine. If that Widow Mine isn't there, STC perhaps is a little bit more forward with his troop movements. The Command Center's already landed on the ground, and he's perhaps better able to defend against that aggression. But as it stands, Apocalypse playing a great game here, denying that third base, which means his economic advantage is going to be fantastic. Again, his third orbital command, it's on the ground. SCV's mining, 2 gases getting started there as well. Meanwhile, the STC having to remake that third command center. So STC in a little bit of a tricky situation here.
Oh, and look at how Apocalypse sends an SCV on the right-hand side of the map to try to both scout incoming attack and set up basically anti-drop detection and defense on that side. He knows that right now STC is looking to set up a good position to try to, STC needs some positional advantage to compensate for the fact that he's behind in every other way. So as he's moving out to try to get that position, Apocalypse just has to make sure, he doesn't have that.
Yeah, Apocalypse going towards that watchtower, trying to find out what's going on. His army is much bigger than his opponent, so STC going to back up for now. Has to be very careful with his positioning. Also, Apocalypse making some nice insurance moves, placing down a sensor tower in his main base. So he's going to see this medevac on his mini-map approaching the left-hand side of the map, and he should be able to identify that and deal with it. There we go, the Marines stimming forward, and that medevac shouldn't do too much. A little bit of skirmish here.
Oh, a nice little move there with the medevac trying to lift up and drop on top of the tanks, but Apocalypse holds basically his opponent's watchtower.
Yeah.
The medevac has been parried by Marines. It hasn't done anything yet, and those Marines are just going to sit there. Great game so far by Apocalypse.
Both these guys taking turns, threatening, dropping their own Marines on their opponent's tanks. A very interesting tactic that I don't know would necessarily be useful in actual real war. Now that I think about it.
The Marines wouldn't enjoy it in any case. More a kamikaze style. Maybe if the Marines are strapped with explosives, and then they're thrown.
Yeah,
down.
man. I'm sorry. I'm not signing up for that job. I love freedom. I love America. But if they ask me to do that, I'm probably going to volunteer to drive the medevac.
Oh, the Marines finding a spot where they can land, but SCV Marines denies that.
The tanks are unsieged. The tanks are unsieged. Apocalypse going for it with the Marines. STC trying to turn around, but caught completely off guard. What a terrible mistake there from the STC, and Apocalypse taking advantage.
Oh, great moves by Apocalypse. STC trying to counter to the third. Medevac is taken up by the turret. The SCV's flee, this is an annoying move, but the real story is this major engagement. So many tank shells go off, and STC's Marines are just being obliterated.
Gosh, STC trying to hold nothing but blue streaming across the map here towards STC's side of the map. SCV's being pulled, but those are siege tanks, and those are a bunch of dead SCVs.
Oh man, I don't know if the STC can hold on.
Wow. Apocalypse is good.
He is. You know what was so impressive about that? It all started off with a delayed command center to get 2 barracks. And then his second barracks actually didn't do him anything.
No, it didn't.
It was, the only thing it did him actually that kind of came back and gave him the advantage is that because he had 2 barracks early, he could make 1 reactor, 1 attack lab, and his stim was done about a full minute and a half before the STC stim. And then because he had that stim, he was able to stim down, take the orbital down. And STC, he had Marines, but without stim, if Marines walked down, they just would have melted. So, kind of a cool little trick there.
And that was a game that was kind of characterized by that early harassment intent from the STC as far as, again, the medevacs were concerned with the Hellions and Marines inside. Apocalypse completely shut it down, giving himself all the momentum in the game, able to carry it through, able to continually increase that supply advantage, of course, making that key move over on the left-hand side of the map where he had a Widow Mine set up at his opponent's third base, able to identify, okay, what exactly is there, and then sending those Marines forward, targeting down that orbital command, and taking it down. And once you're on 3 bases as Terran, and you're able to deny your opponent's third base, exactly like what happens right here for Apocalypse. I mean, the supply advantage is already pretty ridiculous in Apocalypse's favor, 118 to 91. But once you shut down that third base, you shut down that additional economy from your opponent while getting yours up back home, that makes that so much more difficult for your opposing Terran player. And then, of course, followed up with STC getting caught off guard in the middle of the map. His tanks were on siege. Whenever that happens, it's not going to be fun at all. So Apocalypse playing just a perfect game number 1 in my personal opinion. But we'll have to see what happens, guys. This is a best of 3. We'll be back with game 2 between Apocalypse and the STC after a quick break.